you for joining us for today's service of Multifaith Readings and Reflection. My name is Bavli, and I'd like to welcome you all for today's service. I am one of the spiritual care practitioners here at Mackenzie Health, and I will be leading us in today's service. So this service of Multifaith Readings and Reflection, you will see throughout it prayers and scriptures which represent some of our multi-faith community. I encourage everyone to participate in all aspects of the service and to enjoy and celebrate those aspects that you have found most supportive and helpful to you. I hope that everyone will learn something new today, and in that spirit, keep an open mind throughout. Today's theme is on love. And so we will have an opening prayer, and this is a prayer from St. Francis of Assisi. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. And where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. And where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born again to eternal life. Our next reading comes to us from the Hindu tradition, and this comes from the Bhagavad Gita. I am ever present in those who have realized me in every creature. Seeing all life as my manifestation, they are never separated from me. They worship me in the hearts of all, and all their actions proceed from me. Whenever they may live, they abide in me. When a person responds to the joys and sorrows of others as if they were his own, he has attained the highest state of spiritual union. Our next reading comes to us from the Jewish tradition, and this comes from Psalm 128. Happy is everyone who fears the Eternal One and who walks in God's ways. You shall eat the fruit of labor of your hands. You shall be happy, and it shall go well with you. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house, and your children will be like olive shoots around your table. Thus shall the man be blessed who fears the Eternal One. The Eternal One bless you from Zion, and may you see the prosperity of Jerusalem all the days of your life. May you see your children's children. Our next reading comes to us from the Muslim tradition, and this is taken from Surat Al-Madiyah 48. We have appointed an law and a practice for every one of you. Had Allah willed, He would have made you a single community, but He wanted to test you regarding what has come to you. So compete with each other in doing good. Every one of you will return to Allah, and He will inform you regarding the things about which you deferred. Our next reading comes to us from the Christian tradition, and this comes from the first book of John. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is God. And he who loves is born of God and knows God. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. No man has ever seen God. If we love one another, God abides in us, and His love is perfected in us. By this we know that we abide in Him and He in us, because He has given us of His own Spirit. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and he who fears is not perfected in love. We love because He first loved us, and if anyone says, I love God, and hates his brother, he is a liar. For he does not love his brother whom he has seen, cannot love God whom he has not seen. Our next reading comes to us from the Buddhist tradition. And this comes from Taviga Sutta. He lets his mind enter one quarter of the world with thoughts of love, and so the second, and so the third, and so the fourth. And thus the whole wide world, above, below, around, and everywhere, does he continue to pervade with the heart of love, far-reaching, exalted beyond measure. Just as a mighty trumpeter makes himself heard, and that without difficulty in all of the four directions, even so of all the things that have shape of life, there is not one that he passes by or leaves aside, but regards them all with mind set free and deep felt love. Verily, this is the way to a state of union with the Brahma. Good morning again, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for our service of Multi-Faith Readings and Reflection. My name is Bavli, and today's theme is on love, and I'm just going to share a small reflection with you on this theme and the readings we've heard so far. Love is such a powerful emotion that we experience it in extreme highs. Love when we are surrounded by family, friends, or maybe a significant other. And love when we are torn apart, families are separated, and our significant others maybe betray us. When I reflect on my own love life, I've had my ups and downs as well too. In the past 10 years, I've had been 3 significant relationships, and 2 of them ended with the girl cheating on me. Now, I'm not saying that the girls were bad, but circumstances were present in the relationship that instigated the cheating to take place. It was probably one of the greatest pains that I experienced in a very long time. To be betrayed and to be let down by someone who you had trust and meant the world to you is not easy. Why are we drawn to each other, and why do we do things for others? We all function because we have the ability to love. We all function because we want to be loved and cared for. This is human nature, and it drives us in all of our pursuits. Each of us has a history of being accepted or rejected, and with it, a past history of pain and difficulties in relationships. However, we all yearn for communion and belonging, but at the same time we fear it because we know that little voice at the back of our heads and in our minds telling us they will let you down. Don't trust them. Love is what we want, yet it is what we fear the most. Love makes us vulnerable and open, and we can be hurt through rejection and separation. We may crave for love, but then be frightened for losing our liberty and creativity. We want to belong to a group, but we fear certain death in the group because we may not be seen as unique. We want love, but fear the dependence and the commitment it implies. We fear being used, manipulated, smothered, and spoiled. We are all so ambivalent toward love, communion, and belonging. But it is in this deep vulnerability that we allow ourselves the ability to love and trust. By being vulnerable and allowing ourselves to be exposed, that is when trust is created. Love is not something we give or get. It is something that we nurture and grow. A connection that can only be cultivated between people when it exists within each of them. We can only love others as much as we love ourselves. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, and withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Love can only survive these injuries if they are acknowledged and healed. We are biologically, cognitively, physically, and spiritually wired to love, to be loved, and to belong. When these needs are not met, we don't function as we were meant to. We break, we fall apart. We grow numb, we ache, we hurt others, we get sick. There are certainly other causes of illnesses, numbness and hurt, but the absence of love and belonging will always lead to suffering. When I arrive to the bedside and connect with patients, almost every time the patient makes a positive comment about the nurse, he or she, or the care that they are receiving, I agree that the hospital setting is not a pleasant place. It can be depressing, but if we allow ourselves to see that the nurse who comes to the bedside, or the physiotherapist who helps us learn to walk again, or the spiritual care practitioner who listens and empathizes, who has the ability to care for you, then slowly we learn to trust them. And this is the beginning of creating a loving relationship. Sometimes this is not possible, but if we continue to explore the options, taking into account our situation, then we have the ability to foster a loving relationship. And today's readings remind us of this theme. The Hindu reading said, when a person responds to the joys and the sorrows of others as if they were his own, he has attained the highest state of spiritual union. The Jewish reading reminds us that when we are conscious of the Eternal One, that we will be happy in the sight of other people. The Muslim reading says that when we do good to others, God will remind us of his joy that we have done And the Christian reading says that even when we are afraid and have love, that love will always cast out the fear, because perfect love will always prevail in our lives. So, back to my relationship status. So I mentioned before, I had 2 of my relationships ended with the girl cheating. I was down on myself and constantly examined what I could have done differently or what I could do differently in the next relationship. Well, I'm happy to report that I am happily engaged to be married next month, and I am excited about that journey and this current relationship that I am in. But what I have learned and how I got to this current relationship is that we constantly need to infuse our lives with action. Don't wait for it to happen, make it happen. Make your own future, make your own hope, and make your own love. Whatever your beliefs, honor your Creator, not by passively waiting for love to come down from upon high, but by doing what you can to make love happen. Love is meant to be lived out and constantly nourished in all that we do. Thank you. And now we will have a concluding reading. All humanity should walk the path of love. True peace and a world of joy cannot be realized without love. Happiness is the same. Can you feel happiness alone? You can only feel true happiness when you are able to have a reciprocal relationship of love with another. Freedom is the same. You cannot experience freedom alone. It can only be achieved through love and within love. You don't feel tired in the place of true love. No matter how exhausted you are, if you are intoxicated with love and you burst into tears out of love, then your tiredness will suddenly disappear. When you feel true love, you don't feel hungry or tired. And also, you do not fear death. Thank you everyone for joining us for today's service. I hope you have enjoyed that. If you are needing some spiritual care support, you can find our contact number on the spiritual care icon in your iPad. You can also talk to your nurse as well too, and they know how to contact us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next week, Tuesday at 11 a.m. for our next service. Thank you everyone.